So this has been a long time coming video hangout. I've been really wanting to talk about this, but I was also super afraid, and I'm already messing up. Gosh, let me start all over. So I want to quote this movie, and I want to reference it. I want to talk about my experience, my first experience, my second experience, and my third experience, and my anticipation to see it also still for a fourth time this week on Friday. So I'm gonna start off with just saying my first experience and how that was. So before I even get into it, I wanted to say thank you so much for taking some time to hang out with me. It really means a lot, especially to talk about something that I've been profusely super excited about, Frankenstein and Guillermo del Toro. I made a video prior to this, a little hangout, where I talk about why I'm excited about it, everything that I'm looking forward to, and well, I'm here to just share my experience, I guess. So I do want to talk about this masterpiece. It was absolutely amazing. I do want to say also, so I had the privilege, because I know that it was only playing in selected theaters, so it wasn't playing everywhere, unfortunately. For so many people that love Frankenstein, love Guillermo del Toro, and I feel even if you don't love Frankenstein, even if you don't love Guillermo del Toro, this is a movie that would, I guess, win you over to dive into it. There's so many things about it, honestly. It goes from the love of romanticism, obviously, which I've mentioned before, the love of Gothic, the love of the philosophy, the themes that it brings out, who is a monster, the creator, the responsibility, free will, temporal, obviously, as you see here. There's so much, the effects of trauma, the generations. I mean, it could go on, but I do want to just share, I guess, I want to break it up, and I want to make multiple hangouts where I talk about certain things. And in this one, I just want to talk about my amazing experience that I had with going into my first time going to the Egyptian theater with friends, and how that was, and the excitement. Obviously, going into it, I was super excited. It was the only thing that I had on my mind for that whole week. That's not even a lie. I feel like I was just thinking about it. I was talking to like some of my coworkers. I was super excited about it, and then it came and it happened. And upon arrival, before we even set foot into the theater, there was people that were coming out of the movie theater, the Egyptian theater, and their countenance was not the most, I guess you could say, I don't know, encouraging, or it didn't display a factor of, oh, I'm really excited and I have reason to be excited. If anything, there was a guy that before we were looking for parking in LA, and I have to say this story because I feel like this also made me, I don't know, this added to my experience because it took away something, but it was rewarding. I don't know, it was weird. So before we even got to like park, we were looking for parking, and there's a guy, and he was coming out and he had a poster, this poster, haha. And I was like, obviously he saw Frankenstein, but he was by himself, and he didn't look so thrilled about it. He didn't come out like, oh my gosh, life changed, or not even life changed. He just looked down and disappointed about it, I guess. So that's how I read his body language, his facial expression, like I said, his countenance. So because of that, I was like, oh shoot, I wonder if I'm just now overly excited, and if I'm placing too much, I guess, too much expectations for it, and if it's just not gonna meet that. Because it sucks. It sucks when you put certain expectations that aren't realistic, and then they aren't met, but it's because it's just not realistic. And so I was like, maybe I'm doing that right now, but I don't think so. Again, I was in this push and pull within myself. I was fighting back and forth whether or not I was placing too much excitement, and I was going into it with wide eyes and not set on reality. I wasn't grounding my expectations. And when I saw him, and he just said, we only exchanged a few words, and it was like, what we, like, first of all, he's like, I don't want to ruin anything, so I'm not going to say much, but he looked down, and I don't know, just not good vibes, I guess. So that also turned me off of, dude, what the heck? I'm not sure if this is going to be good. We parked, we start walking, I'm super excited, I'm jumping up and down, and then there's this family that my friend overhears, and it's a family, and they're also, I guess the discourse that they're exchanging is pretty much like, oh, it was all right. And then the dad in the family, he's like, oh, well, I don't know, I personally liked it. So obviously that didn't leave also another good impression of, what? Hold on, maybe I do need to reel in my expectations, and I don't know, go into it just being grateful that I'm here, that I'm experiencing it. So changing my lens. But it was at this moment, if I'm being honest, it was already way too late. I was already way too excited. I remember just getting popcorn, being excited about that, being excited that we're gonna get a poster, being excited that we were sitting, being excited that I was there with friends. I feel very fortunate to have, one, being able to experience this in the movies, like I already mentioned, being able to experience this the night of, which is also huge, and being able to experience this with friends, people that I really wanted to sit down and watch this. There's other people that I wanted to be part of, but it got too complicated. But I was really happy. And then two of my friends, they had actually plans the next day to leave super early and do this little trip. And so because the showing was at 11 pretty much, we're going to be out and about till 1, 2, because it's also a long movie. So because of that, there's sacrifice. It was just a very beautiful, blissful, ideal, made me feel very loved kind of night. And that was amazing. So that is just to talk about my experience. And so going into it, again, the only things I really had in my mind, because I can't say, I don't know, I went into it blind, because I didn't go into it blind, not at all. I went into it like, I feel like I had written in my mind the script already. And I was like, this is gonna happen. I read this, and I didn't get to finish my reread of the book, but I already knew kind of like the main points and plots and pieces of the story. And so because of that, I was like, I already know this is going to happen, this, and I can't wait to see this. And while I was doing my reread, I kept notating on the side, I can't wait to see this in the screen, or I can't wait to see how Guillermo does this, brings this to life, and I wonder how he's going to sound when he says this word. Just a lot of that. So again, I was going into it with such high, terrible expectations, but I was also very much, and I go into it with every movie where there's a book adaptation. I always go into it with knowing that this isn't going to be a page to screen. Not everything's going to resemble it truly. And if anything, I sometimes prefer when it doesn't. I always want for the work of literature to be the art of it in itself, and what we see on screen to be a whole completely not a completely different thing, but I do wish for it to be heavily inspired, but not a true adaptation ever. I want to be able to go and get certain things that I didn't get from the book, or things that I'm like, I myself didn't imagine it like this. That's amazing, because now you fed me something else that's really enriching and very beautiful. And obviously that's why I was also really excited, because I know the relationship that Guillermo del Toro has towards monsters, and this whole, I don't know, it's something that you just lend it over to him and you trust him, and whichever direction he's going to go and take it. I've never been disappointed in anything that I've seen from him. And not just disappointed, I feel like that's such a negative tone. I've always been very much fulfilled, I feel like, from the art that he produces and releases and provides us with. In terms of the monsters, and I just feel like I could go on and just rave about the portrayal that he has because of his relationship that's so real and true and genuine. And it's something that you can feel that has lived and resided within him for years. And this is a movie that he has been working on for well over, I think he said 30 years. And you feel like the excitement, the passion behind it, the drive, everything that just has been sitting within him being released. And that's a very beautiful feeling. It didn't at all feel like something that was like something that he had it wasn't a chore for him. It wasn't a rush. It wasn't something that's like, I know I'm going to make money off of it, so I'm going to create this. Not at all. It felt so personal, so raw. Again, I loved it from the very beginning. I think that also the more I've watched it from my third time, I loved it even more. I think going into it the first time, I was again super, super excited, thankful and grateful. The feelings of being there with certain friends and watching it also just added to my experience, enhanced certain emotions, and then watching it just play out. I want to go into some of my favorite things. I feel like this video is going to be kind of long and I'm going to have to edit so much, but I really love the frame within a frame, the narrative. I guess, what is it called? The inceptional story. It's a story that's being told by a story that gets told by another story that's within the story to tell the overall story. And I just love that, because that is exactly something that was taken from the book, and it goes from the letters to the main dialogue that gets recounted from just so much. It's so much, and I loved it. And I also feel like there's a certain type of pressure that I'm feeling, because I want everyone that I'm hanging out with today, right now, to feel, I guess, moved and compelled to go and be like, you know what, it's on Netflix now. I want to go and turn it on and watch it immediately. That's whatever is on my queue is going to be eradicated, because Frankenstein is the only thing I want to think about and watch and experience. And I also feel like I'm not going to do it any justice, which is unfortunate. And I just really want to just tell you guys, you have to watch it. And it's a true, honestly, it's a true tragedy that a lot of people won't get to experience this in the theater because, I don't know, I'm so upset that it didn't have a wide world release in cinema, in the theaters, because it is cinema. It truly is just a masterpiece of being able to hear. There's certain sounds. The sound design was also impeccable, I guess. It's so immersive. Also, watching it with people that love or are excited, there's also this energy in the auditorium. It's so different from watching, at least for me. I don't have a big screen. I don't have a big TV. I don't have like a surround sound. I don't have so many of these things that also play into how you're going to experience this movie. And that kind of just, it is what it is. But it is something that I'm like, wow, I don't know. I don't understand why this is the route that it led. Because there's certain movies that I also feel like, why is this playing out in theaters? I don't understand that. Because this could have been a straight to streaming service or movie release. And it's out in theaters. And that's crazy because Frankenstein deserves that. And I'm hoping that as the award season comes around and there's more buzz around this movie and more people are streaming it. And I was talking to some of my friends about this because we're like, dude, I'm just so disappointed that it's not. And I'm so happy that it wasn't also part of, if you wanted to watch this, it was very much like you had to travel. So there was a sort of, again, sacrifice effort. And I do like that for myself, but not for everyone. I do think that it sucks for a lot of people and it's so unfortunate. But I think that is also another reason why I do feel very immensely grateful for having that in my timeline, I guess, because I got to, the greed in me, I guess, I was able to experience this not once, not twice, but 3 times. And all in very different theaters. The first one was the Egyptian. The second one was in Santa Monica, the Landmark. And the third one was also in Landmark, but on Sunset. And they all had a very different atmosphere, different vibe. I went with different groups of friends. And so that also added to the different conversations that we had, the anticipation, the excitement, how I felt. Like certain people hadn't read the book versus certain people had. In a certain group, everyone had read the book. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see how you are going to receive this movie. Now knowing, because now I had seen it for the first time. So all this was just like, I don't know. It has been such a delight. It has been such a true treat. Not even a treat. It's been honestly the dessert that I've been living on. And it makes me so happy. I feel like I haven't really rambled much about the movie. I think that there's, again, when it comes to movies like this, there's a lot of already dialogue. And you could just look up a review. So you'll get the review. You'll get the synopsis, the plot, the breakdown, the differences. And I think that's all amazing. I don't feel like my hangouts need to be that, really. I feel like my hangouts, I don't even know what my hangout is really about. It's just me about blabbering, just rambling about how grateful I am about being able to experience this, I guess. I don't know. I feel like this hangout's being a little long now. I don't know. I want to talk about the beauty of it. I want to go into a deeper sense and break it down also because there was something that I got. Hold on, let me see. So there was something that I got at the Egyptian Theater, and they're giving out these magazines, which is really cool and amazing. Just, I guess I didn't even see it because, again, I was just scattered brain all over the place and just wanting to get popcorn, and the popcorn there was so delicious. And it was just great. It was so amazing. I'm so sorry. I wish that you could have been there. Honestly, truly. I mean, hopefully, just believe me that I wish that. But anyways, something that I do have, and I'm so fortunate about, is not only getting to experience it, being there, and getting this amazing, cool print, but also getting this. And it also breaks down, it talks about book to screen, Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro, on bringing Mary Shelley's classic novel to life. And there's also this little, the palette of Frankenstein and the different colors and what they represent and what that means. So I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive on what that means. I also want to do a little bit more intense, a true Frankenstein video and the differences. And also I want to get into, I've been in a bit of a funk, I guess you could call it, where because I've been wanting to just dive in and just immerse myself in just, I don't know, everything about Frankenstein, all of it, the history, the beginning, the 1931 version, the book, the Mary Shelley, the franchise overall, the monsters, and the Bride of Frankenstein, also the Mary Shelley's version from the 1994, and then now this version. And is there also, I want to just pose a question, do we need another Frankenstein movie? And my answer is yes. But I also want to talk about why I believe we still need, why this still is not enough. This is not enough for me. I want more. And I know my greed sickens me and it sickens you and it sickens all of us, but I still think that there's more that we need to explore. There's certain things that I love. Also, I recently found out by a friend that there was 2 Frankenstein by Mary Shelley publications. There's a 1818 version, which we all pretty much know and love. But there's also a 1838, 32, 33, 34, I think, version that came out that was revised by Mary Shelley after she, I guess, went through so much turmoil, emotional, but also she went through so much loss. And because of it influenced her on how she wanted to go back and revisit Frankenstein and then re-release it, and it has such a different tone and it has such a different message. So there is the 1818 version, which I think, even though I haven't really read the other one, I've read certain excerpts and I know what it's about. I know the main themes and the changes that she made, and I don't think I'd be such a huge, I don't think I'd be fond of that version, honestly, because the 1818 version really much explores free will. I think that's one of my favorite things about the book, because the book and then also just the conversations that you have after watching this movie, because it's very much like, it's not superficial, it's not surface level, it's not for the person that just holds like a single brain cell. It's something that you really sit with, you meditate. It could literally be, I feel, life-changing, I don't know, in the simplest form, but also in the most impactful way, because it's something that's like, it doesn't have to be that deep. You could just appreciate for costume design, the setup, the production, the music, the sound, blah, 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 blah. But you can also really appreciate the themes and the philosophies that it holds, and that is one of them. It's very much like free will and how you use it and what becomes of you because of the things that were done or were not done even directly to you, but I guess you at such a young age experienced. And I do think, oh my gosh, I'm going crazy. I think that this Frankenstein is such a different version than this Frankenstein. I love this Frankenstein, but that's the one that you just go for the vibes. You go for such a mood. It's still very like black and white gothic, and I love that, but I do think that this is the one that you just, the article, I love the article. I hate it, but I love it because it talks about how you sympathize and you understand the creature and how he's not the monster. And how very much so it's Victor Frankenstein that is the monster. And he didn't create a monster, but he did create a monster, if that makes sense. Because they are one and the same in a very different way. Like a coin, whether it's turned on heads, whether it's turned on tails, it's still a coin. It still holds the same worth. And I feel like it very much, I want to just dig in a little bit deeper on that, because that was what I think I took the most from the film, and something that I'm still pondering on, something that I resonate as well very deeply. So Guillermo del Toro, Frankenstein, Oscar Isaac. Oh, and then also I'm sure there's a ton of videos talking about this already. I think that's wonderful that Guillermo del Toro wrote specifically this movie with certain people in mind already, and the person, I don't think that a director like this can make a mistake, but I also think that, I do think that there's certain things, I can't even say that honestly, certain things happen for a reason, but I do think that the way it came out, happy accidents. I am a huge believer in trusting the process, happy accidents, and you just letting yourself be moved, especially when it comes to art. Not being so rigid and it has to be this way. I'm gonna allow yourself to just be guided and moved, and it will work out. And the creature was actually going to be played by Andrew Garfield, which I'm sure there's been a lot of fun facts about that. But although I can imagine Andrew Garfield playing him in the early stages of the creature, I cannot imagine him playing him in this form. I really can't. And I think that it would have been super interesting to see that if that would have happened, but I think it's so amazing that it didn't happen and that Jacob Elordi did do it. And I know that a lot of people have reservations about that as well, because people put certain artists, actresses in certain boxes. And I mean, we're pretty much doing that with Andrew Garfield. People saying, I can't imagine him doing this, I can't imagine. So we are putting him in a box. But because of that, Jacob Elordi got the opportunity to expand his wings really showcase his ability in being the creature, and I think that's very amazing. And I'm sure that's going to open so many doors for him as an actor and his ability and what he can do and what he's willing to do, because I think that he did a fabulous job. And I also do think that a lot of credit needs to be given not just to the actor, a lot of credit, just again, lots and lots of more praise to Guillermo del Toro for creating that for him and guiding him through that. I think that's amazing. So again, more videos are going to come. I want to pose more questions. I want to get really deep and not just talk about, again, I see a lot of videos that are reviewing this and what they liked, what they didn't, why it was good, why it wasn't good, and it's just very superficial, and I don't feel satisfied by that. And I don't want our hangouts to feel that way at all. So I want to be able to just, I guess, do a deeper dive on this and talk about it a little bit more extensively, if that's okay. And I want to just be able to take my time with this as well. I want to be able to, even days after Frankenstein has been released on streaming, I hope that we're still talking about it. I'm sure there's going to be more conversations because, again, a lot of people haven't seen it still, which is so crazy because I've seen it. I feel like I'm just flexing now, I'm just showing off, because I've seen it 3 times, and I think that's just, I feel, again, just so fortunate. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I can't wait to hang out again, and yeah.